Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Red Podcast. I am, as always, your host, Strigger, and joined alongside me today is the ever-present, thinks he's omnipresent, Rocc. Rocc, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Thank you for asking.
It's been a bit of a rocky couple of, well, we'll say month for you in VL, from what had seemed to be, for once, some plain sailing experience for yourself. It seems to have all gone a little bit rocky. But before we talk about you joining NSK and obviously picking up, was it their first win?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Before we talk about that, let's start from the beginning. So, you're one of the oldest people in terms of experience within the VL or CLC, and obviously a gold pat player, and obviously playing in bronze silver sometimes. But we can we can reach that part. But I think it's important people understand who the character behind the names plural is. So, when did you actually join CL? And was it always under the Rewind name back then, or were you called something else?
Oh, that's actually like such a long way back. It was at the end of 2016.
Right.
My summoner name back then and the alias I was under was 2 Meeps, 1 Bard. So I was a Bard 1 trick, and for some reason I started playing in the. I don't know if you remember, but the Gold Platinum Compete League was divided into 2 divisions.
Yeah.
So I was in Division 2 with a team that was basically a makeshift team. I really don't know what that was, but they decided to put me mid. And I was dog shit because I was only playing support up until that point. So I was playing Corgi, and I was still like the best player we had. But we got smacked from every other team.
So
We
this
had
is a team that no one knows the name of the players.
no,
No one knows
I
who those players are.
no one.
Right. Okay.
Well, the thing is, we had the highest Trundle mastery points player in the jungle in the West. So, yeah.
Clearly, you
and
learned
that,
something winning those games as Trundle earlier this week. But yeah.
yeah, that was really when I first, when I first came in touch with fives.
2016's probably earlier than most people. I mean, I think I Thrani with 2017. They'll correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, but you'd assume those guys as being the most long-standing members of the community. But here you are, 2016. They'll correct me that I'm wrong. But after this split, what was your mental like? So obviously you're not playing support, your main role. You're playing mid. You're doing better than your whole team despite being off roll and being dog shit. Was this like you wanting to say, okay, let's continue into fives? Like, what made you want to join this next team? And how old were you? I mean, you must have been what?
16.
16, okay.
So, yeah, it was like Compete League had this really shit website. So people who were around at that time know that there was like a free agent database and shit, and it was really scuffed. And some guy messaged me then while the split was ongoing. The team folded after like 3 or 4 official league games, anyways. So a guy called Tetra messaged me, and he was the founder of the org or team Bad Intentions, BDI. That was a bit after that split. That must have been 2017 then. And he was like, he was offering me a tryout for support. And I'm like, yeah, I'm silver currently. Like, I was actually silver, but I was like, I think I was plat 4 previous season. And Compete Link did take that into account, if I remember correctly. So they were like, oh, you were platinum. Yeah, it's not a problem. You can still play, but you have to use a different account. And I'm like, that's weird. You know, I was not stupid. I knew it was smurfing, but I also knew that I wasn't playing support, and I only played support up until that time. So yeah, they put me in their sister team. It was really weird with some other familiar faces with Emilis, Lil Skater Boy, T Doggy, also known as Craft Off Year nowadays, and yeah, and that was where I started to Smurf and Bronze Silver. But the league, I think there were like 3 or 4 teams
So
in that league.
what were you called then? What was your summer name? Just would
That
this have
was
been something
that
that
was Luke 306. But my Discord
okay.
allies was still Rewind, so I wasn't trying to.
Right, so it was, you were known as Rewind at this point, okay.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, I don't know if people knew I was a Smurf. I guess it came out at some point, but I also didn't play because then I met Harshy. So Major Donald II, as most people know him by. Yeah,
Yeah, everyone
and
calls him that. Major Donald II is
yeah,
universally used as his name now. No one knows him as Harshy, but Major Donald too. Yeah, of course, yeah, that's the one.
yeah. Um, he was on a team. I don't remember the name, but it was some kind of organization as well. And he asked me or I offered coaching. And Emilus brought me in as a coach, and Harshy was the first one that stepped up to me and was like, "Yo, can you coach me on ADC?" And I'm like, "Sure, I can." And so we did that, and then we played, and it was all going good. And that must have been midway through 2017, and we just played. We didn't play in CL because CL Bronze Silver was dead for quite a long time in 2017,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, because there were no teams signed up. So we created a family from Punjab, I think. I don't know. And that's where we played Clash for the first time, I think. And Clash was, well, really bad. If I think it was Clash, I'm not sure. Um, there was Rialgo in that team too, and we were just buddies and yeah, playing League together basically. And
Right.
then it came back into okay, we want to start a team. What are we gonna name it?
So it was
Mm,
at this point so they knew you were Rewind at this point. They knew you were a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
platform peak player. Now at this point, when you've been playing with them and playing on the Punjabi, whatever you called it, had you then reached plat once again, or were you still hovering around
Um,
silver?
no, that was 2017. So season 7, where I reached my highest ever peak rank of plat 2,
Right. Okay.
81 LP. That was the Ardens meta.
Yeah.
So
Spam those Lulu games.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Over 70% when you're after 30 games. That was some juicy elo. But yeah, so we decided to make a team. And we tried that a lot actually. And I tried to make a team after my BDI GDI kind of history. I tried to make a team myself with T-Dogger with Oscar, who is back around now. He was a jungler back then. But CL was dead, so we never really got to play. But then with Harshy and Philip, we did a team that was all that turned out to be 7 Deadly Sins. So
It
we
wasn't
founded
always
that
called
team.
Seven Deadly Sins, though, was there? there was a day when it had a different name, but somebody overslept on a tryout and it ended up not being called
Yeah, it was
that.
called Centurion for I think 2 days.
Yeah, because
Because
that was at the time when me and Kraft were playing on Goliaths, which is obviously now Hensai Haven, and Kraft
yeah,
was like, obviously T-Dog, he knew who Rewind was. It's like, right, we're going to make a team. He really wanted to join your team and was like, we need a jungler. Bring Trigger along. Tried out. Was going to be called Centurion because you needed a name for it. And then I overslept and you were like, no, fuck this kid. We're not going to try him out. And then we've never liked each other since.
I think the last bit is obviously an exaggeration,
Yeah.
but no, at that time it was like if you remember the scrim ethics of like CL,
Yeah.
it was so rare that you could actually scrim because people were still young. Like Kraft, for example, he was like 17, I think, like me as well. But he like when we didn't find the scrim, we couldn't scrim any other day of the week. So
Yeah.
if you're oversleeping in that one scrim, I'm going to be pissed because we won't scrim that day.
Yeah.
So you didn't get the try in the end. And I don't know what our roster was so weird.
Well, you started off trying to play Harshy at AD carry. And obviously you then scrimmed Goliaths, I think, back
Yeah,
when I was
for sure.
playing on it. And there was this very, very now known about AD carry performance of Harshy playing Varus. And, well, there's
Caitlyn. Caitlyn it was.
No, we
I
played
think.
Varus as well because his ultimates never landed. Maybe there was multiple games.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. After that one, we had the talk. So me and Philip were watching the games. We were like, okay, the team's actually doing fine, and Harshy's doing fine too. He's actually getting like 5 kills on Caitlyn. It's actually going really well, but at some point he just didn't right click anymore and didn't deal any damage. So we just lost the game because we didn't have any damage, and everyone was so tilted. Like my whole DMs are like exploding with T Doggy, for example, or Lil Skater Boy at the time, who were like saying, "I can't play with Harshy ADC. It's not working." I'm
Because your
like,
jungler was Tezzy, wasn't it? Or Bjergsen, I think, called at the time.
yeah, Bjergsen,
Yeah.
Desi, um, yeah, and yeah. So me and Phil were like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna talk to him. And Harshy to this day thinks that he suggested moving to support, but I am 100% sure that we forced him to go support, or else the team would implode. But yeah, he did, and then 7DS first split started, which was yeah,
Well,
which was where it all began, right?
yeah, because the one thing that I think we have to talk about is the AD carry
Yeah, for sure.
situation that 7DS had trying to replace Harshy. So how long were you actually part of 7DS? That's something even I'm not sure of. How, because you were potentially then a founding owner of it, if not the founding owner. I don't know how you'd view yourself as
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think at the start I was. At some point I was. That was at the end of the split. I told Harshy that he couldn't just have 7DS. Like he knew what was going on. I had like some rough IRL things in like the first split on CL, so I was really only there for the first games, and I sometimes put like some draft ideas in. I was like the worst coach you could imagine, right? Never around, but I still wanted to be involved. I was so determined on kicking Theo because he was I don't know. He was obnoxious in a sense. Um and it caused a lot of problems in the team with other team members. It was my personal decision, but like, or it wouldn't have been my personal decision. But Harshy wanted to keep him, and it's all fair and square. So yeah, I was around till the end of that split, but obviously that is where my when my multiple personalities uh,
Because
came in.
so I've got to try and clarify some points here. So a couple of questions. Try and answer them as succinctly as you can. That team
Yeah,
that was then created to end up being called Seven Deadly Sins. Who would you say are the founding fathers? Would it just be Harshy? Would you put yourself? Would you put Philip in there or Rialgo? Who would you say are the original owners of Seven Deadly Sins? Or is it just
us
Harshy?
three, us three, like for sure.
Yeah.
We founded as S3. I was considered the manager slash coach. Harshy was the captain. Philip was the coach. So I was doing scrims, talking to Philip about who are we gonna line up, and Harshy was just there to play and captain the team in CL. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a second. The second point I want to go on is because during that split, you brought in Corsavi and Firaz ID as the two AD carries which were
Hmm.
sticking around, and they were commonly suggested that they were Smurfs. Now, at the time, did you think that they were, or did you just think that everyone else was complaining because they were losing?
No, absolutely. This is why I mentioned beforehand that I wasn't really part of 7DS while the split was ongoing.
Yeah.
We had someone else ADC at the start, but he didn't like Harshy or didn't like playing with Harshy.
All right. Okay.
I don't know who it was. It could have been MLS at the time, but not sure, honestly. And he left, so we had to get someone else in. And Harshy, since I wasn't around, Harshy was doing all of that. And he got in for his ID or Jack. And Jack was a proper nice guy. But not only was he really good at AD carry, but also he was really good at comms. So he was like basically macro managing the whole game just for 7DS to win. And he disappeared at some point. He didn't get banned or anything. He just disappeared. We never heard from him ever again. We knew there was another nickname he had that was Lovable Lucy. I tried to speak to him just because I wanted to know. I knew he didn't get along with Theo. He told me about that, but I don't know. He left, and Yeah, and then I supported him more than Kosovi, like because Jack was actually a nice guy and not as shady, and he didn't. Sometimes his ADC mechanics were really bad, so I
Yeah.
thought, okay, maybe he isn't actually a Smurf. But it was like I still thought he was a Smurf. But Kosovi was just, I don't know. Harshi told me he found a new ADC, and I'm like, all right, that's great. Show me the OPGG. I want to see. Like he showed me the end screen from some scrims, and I was like, oh, this guy's like he's doing really good, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, send me his OPGG, and all I see is fucking Twitch Kog'Maw on like 16 kills average, fucking 60-70% in silver, and I was like, Harshi, you know this guy is a Smurf, right? And Harshi's like, no, he isn't. He told me he isn't.
Did you think Hashi was naive, or do you think he was lying?
I think it was a mixture of him being naive and also him like being desperate to win.
Yeah.
And being desperate to beat Galines at the moment. Yeah. And I can somehow understand it because it was CL, so nothing happens anyways, right?
So at this time you were Rewind. Everyone knows you was Rewind. Had you been playing in 1SBA at this point or no?
Yes, I had.
Was that the same split?
Yes, that was the same split. I think it was a bit of. I think Rivals started midway through the CL. No, actually.
Yeah, because that was the split when everything exploded. The split with Firaz and Kosovi, and that first 7 Deadly Sin split was the one where everything ended.
I'm actually not sure because that can't be the same split.
Unless 7 Deadly Sins had to.
No, it definitely couldn't be the same split because
I only played in one CL split, so it had to have been.
Yeah, but it couldn't have been the same split in terms of where I played on Rivals and CL because Rivals and CL were never coexisting, right?
Oh right, yeah. Oh, so was it Rivals that you were Rewind on 1SB?
Yeah, exactly. It was Rivals, not CL.
I thought that was CL, right? So I understand. So let's go back to where you were. You're not really around too much. You've got these IRL problems. There's Firaz, there's Kosovi. Boom, big exodus happens in CL. GP goes down, Bronze Silver goes down, pretty much simultaneously.
I think we're taking a step too far because that's not where it started.
Oh,
it didn't start with the explosion of CL. Because after Kosovi got banned, Harshi is like, I can't be asked to find another ADC, and I'm like, okay, I have another account. Just let me fill until you have another ADC. It was really, Harshi can confirm that it was the plan from the beginning. I feel I have never played ADC in my life. It's okay. It won't be too bad, right? So we play, and I play for 7DS, and yeah, and I left afterwards. After 1 week, I think, because I couldn't play with Theo. I don't know. It was just personalities clashing. But
yeah,
I enjoyed it. Not because I was smashing people, because I certainly wasn't. Because I think we went 1-1 or something. We were playing against Chaz Up, so yeah, that was definitely a loss. But I enjoyed playing ADC, and I also enjoyed people saying, "Oh, this guy's actually not that bad." And where I knew I wasn't like, I knew people wouldn't get onto me because I'm not an ADC main. So while I am a Plat 2 level support, I might just be a Gold 4 level ADC.
Yeah, you could get away with it. It wasn't some orb walking.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like Kosovi. And yeah, then I went from 7DS to Revivals at that point where I Endeavor and some guy called Donny Mick was playing. I don't know. I don't remember him. Donny Mick was queer. Paxlow decided to kick us all from the team because he thought we were kicking him from the team. It was his team, so yeah, I don't know, weird situation. So I was just putting out looking for team, and Pandas with Chairs approached me. Yeah,
That was
as
for top lane, right?
for top lane, yeah, a role that I have played more than ADC for sure. Like ADC probably my least played role at that point, together with mid. Top lane I had some experience, so yeah, I joined them, and I think something happened with like CL. Like nobody knew, like apart from like there were no connections between Rocc and Rewind at that time, apart from maybe the voice.
Yeah.
Maybe that. And people tried to figure that out with like Valkyrie streaming. But Hashi knew who I was, and Hashi was having my back. Like he was like a brother to me, right? He was like covering me up so good. And yeah, so there was no real connection apart from one time where we tried to join L5s, Endeavor Queen and me tried to join L5s with, I think it was Food Makala actually as our coach.
Bit of a throwback, that, eh? Oh, weird
Yeah,
coincidence, yeah.
it's weird, but anyways, we and there was like an introduction channel in our Discord, and I introduced myself and I put not my OPGG in, but someone else's of an IRL friend who is an ADC main.
Right.
Who is Plat 2, Plat 3, and Endeavor and Cree were like, yeah, he's fucked it. We got him. But it was me. Like, I never played on that account. But anyways,
Yeah.
and I think that is the reason why PWC got banned alongside you. People kept
Yeah.
saying it was also because of me. But apart from that one screenshot of me posting the wrong OPGG, there was nothing,
Well,
no evidence.
The thing that took down PWC, and I've spoke about this a million times, but I'll briefly go over it, is obviously I was on Goliants that were then Pandas with Chairs. No,
Yeah.
Goliants that were then Chicks with Sticks. So like we rebuilt the team to demote. We could brought in Ice. We had like Val was like going to coach us, but we were going to try and get him to play. Kick in Connor or Vayaza at the time. Then they changed with Chicks with Sticks. They brought in Hyper. They brought in Val. They brought in somebody else. Oh yeah, the AD carry was a Gigasmurf.
Cloud.
Anyway. Quee was top lane. Yeah, Cloud. Yeah, not the Cloud that everyone knows. It was a different Cloud. So obviously I knew who all those players were because at the time me and Val were dead close. But then there was an altercation with Val where Val leaked it to Amy that Grigger was Hunter with stress. That then got made. Amy tells me that Val's just told her that I'm a Smurf. And then Val freaks out thinking that I'm going to rat on everybody on Chicks with Sticks. So then he like either quits or he says that he's been smurfing or something just to try and save his back. Then a document gets thrown out about PWC because I was smurfing on it for the first 3 games. And that's how it all started. Then I put in a Google Docs to say, no, actually, they didn't know that I was smurfing. Don't ban them, just ban me kind of thing. And then I think it was after that when it became about you because they were just trying to find something. If I remember correctly, obviously Endeavor or Quee or whatever could talk about that one more themselves. But anyway, So this was you playing as Rocc, and you'd already put that message out, which is now pretty infamous, about saying that you've gone to Australia or something. Or what was it that Rewind did?
That was start of VL. I was like, I don't even know what I was thinking, but for some reason Valve wanted me to join VL as an admin, and I said sure, why not? So I was an admin in VL, a player in Rivals, and also top laner of PWC at that moment. But
Rewind is admin in VL. Rewind is playing in Rivals, but Rocc is playing in VL.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I was a substitute for PWC at first, because Mondays I was playing in Academy, in Division 2 of Rivals.
Yeah.
And VL was on Monday, so I couldn't play. Cool. For some reason, I got promoted to 1SB main team in Division 1. So suddenly, I can play on Mondays. So what do I do?
Just to ask real quickly, the owner of 1SB, or the main person who was running it, as far as I was aware when I joined Alliance, was Ace.
Not at that point anymore.
Not at that point. Okay.
I didn't get to know Ace. It was Rich, aka Faint, who was our coach for PEX Green.
No, so I imagine there was no link between 1SB and Val anymore to say that he had any idea or any inkling.
No, I don't. I honestly think Val knew. Val isn't stupid.
Yeah.
He knew, but he was like, whatever.
Whatever.
He's trash, so
he gives a shit, right?
yeah, I do really think that that's the case. And it was all so weird because not only was I the admin in VL, and also the ADC from Team Firefly that now split up from PWC after the second week. No, after the first week. We only played 1 week as Team Firefly. So first week I played on PWC because my schedule freed up. I played jungle actually because the light was in Turkey, I think. Yeah, he was on holidays. And then we went on to go to Team Firefly with the roster of Kui, Ice, Motojo, me, and Valk. On paper, very good roster. We beat everyone in scrims. We were fucking flying. And
Who'd have
then
thought, right?
first game day, we just I don't know. We only went. I think we went 1 and 2, and it was all like really toxic. And yeah, so turning point for me was me and Valk were playing Duki in the Team Firefly server. Suddenly, I hear someone joining the Discord channel. It's Kui. So like, yo, Kui, what's up? Oh, nothing. And Kui turns around and says, Rocc, are ye Rewind? And I'm like, fuck.
Because at this point, they thought you were smurfing, but they had no link between Rocc and Rewind, right? This is the first time.
Well, they were suspecting it because of the voice, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah. And I was like, no, obviously not. Like, we know each other in real life and shit, but no. And Kui was like, okay, let me message him. And I'm like, fuck, what do I do? So I was playing my Duke game with Valk. And at the same time, on my browser, switching between the game and my browser, because I was already in Discord on the app, right?
Yeah.
Switching to my browser, where I was always logged in as Rewind. Just in case something happens, I can respond instantly on both accounts.
Yeah.
So I switched that account, and Kui's messaging me on Rewind. And I'm like, oh, fuck, what? And Kui's like, Kui messages me on Rewind, yo, can we talk for a second? And I'm like, no, I can't right now. I was so stressed out. This fucked with my mental. And he was just talking to us, and he was like, okay, all right, see ya. And I was like, I messaged him on as Rewind. I was like, yeah, we can talk, but not today and shit. And this was just like so stressful. And that was at the time where I was like, I can't handle that. Like,
yeah.
It sounds weird to everyone that looks at this objectively and says like it's a guy playing a video game on 2 different levels as 2 different personalities.
Yeah.
And now he's like, stressing out over like some online personality, right? Everyone can go around, take some nickname, and be whoever they want to be. Like Bora wants to be an edgy boy, although he's nice. Something like, as an example.
Yeah.
But like at that point, I decided for me, okay, enough is enough. So what do I come up with? I come up with, as I'm still admin in Valence League, I come up with, okay, what I'm gonna do is I will be putting in that Rocc has admitted to smurfing.
But
and
not
that
as Rewind.
I put it in as Rewind.
Okay.
So I faked some chat logs. I think I'm not sure. I don't even know. I think the admin room is still there, so people can check what I've said. But it was more like, I think I actually said what I actually said in admin chat was like, me and Rocc always get confused and it's triggering me. So I told Rocc that he needs to stop playing because I know he's like dodgy. And then I told him that he has another account, and every admin was like, okay, ban him then. No vote was held. Like, yeah, it was badly. Like, I was an admin and I didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Ice was basically running the whole thing on his own when he was still an admin. And yeah, so I put up the ban message, got rid of all. Why did I do that so like instantly? Because I just wanted to get this whole weight off my shoulders. Because I liked Valk. You know, we got to know each other. We played so many games. So that night, I go up to him and I'm like, yo, I have to confess to you. This is what's going on. I'm rewind, shit like that. I'm actually a Smurf. And so he was the only person apart from Harshi to actually know, to hear it from me that I am also rewind. And yeah, a lot of weight was off my shoulders and it felt good. So I was like, okay, never playing in VL again. Try and focus on admin stuff. Funny thing is, Joycey and Glenn then joined the admin stuff, the admin team, and still don't realize who I am. So we actually pranked Jamie at some point because Joycey and Glenn didn't know until like the end of 2018 or something, and they were out drinking with Jamie, and I don't know. They pulled some prank on him where he basically outs me, and then they're like, "Oh shit, now we have to ban him," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, but like, yeah, I guess that has been the turning point for me, and that is, I don't know. It was I could touch into some like personal, like, I guess some life background on that, or like that could maybe justify on why I did it. I don't know if you want that, but
Well, I mean, if you want
I
to
don't
talk
care.
about it, you can, but I'll go in a different direction, and if you want to pull it back,
Sure.
then feel free.
No.
So this is something that is this two account thing is something that's running now pretty much for 6 months on average. You know, you joining 7DS as Rocc to then
Yeah.
CL going down, VL starting, then partway through there, and then it's like, right, okay, this has happened now. Now, you know, there's a lot of people historically in VL that has smurfed or harboured a smurf or encouraged a smurf or a sandbag or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is something which, do you feel like you got punished for? I know you punished yourself by stopping playing, but did you feel like there was, like, something happened that you didn't want to happen because of what you did?
Yeah. That was when the end of 2018 came around, and it was ice. So there was this whole Axie thing, right? And everyone leaked the DMs, or she leaked the DMs rather.
Yeah.
So everyone knew, and I was. So Ice messages me saying there's concrete evidence that you are also rewind. Would you like to say anything about that? And I'm like, give me 20 minutes. I'll be in call with you. I sit there and call with Ice. I think half an hour. All I do is open all of my Discord accounts, all of my League accounts, everything I've done, everything I've said. And I'm like, this is it. This is me. I don't care. Do whatever you want. What I then get is a 3-month punishment for playing as an admin and a player. Why did I only get that punishment? Because at that time I was actually eligible for VL.
Yeah.
So I didn't get punished for smurfing. Right. I guess you could argue that I could have been punished for smurfing, but then again, the thing is, I fully stand to my mistakes. Like, it was a mistake I did. I hurt the competitive integrity of the league, and I basically did what I despise, really, or like what I learned to despise after I've actually changed. So 2018 was a very very bad year for me in terms of it was more of a turning point in my life. So I got my license taken away for for driving under influence. I've had a very bad injury that stopped me from playing football. So I had a lot of time thinking about myself. So that was the time where it really changed. Before that, I was quite a dickhead, and I can say that about myself. I'm sure most people can. If they look back at something, they're like, oh fuck, I was such an idiot back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't break any rules anymore. I got punished these 3 months, but you could have argued that yes, I could have been punished harder or harsher at that time, for sure, when I laid open everything. But can you now go back and punish me for that thing I did 2 years ago? Yes, you can, for sure. But couldn't you do that with other people that got a wrong decision? Yes, you can, and that is the problem. That is why while I was an admin, I said punish me all you want, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna open Pandora's box, and we'll have to reinvestigate everyone's gonna be like, a lot of people are gonna be like, so why can person X get punished but Drigger can't, for example?
Yeah.
Why can't Drigger get punished for something he did like 5-6 months ago, but Rocc can't? You know. And those are just like I think that's such a dangerous route to take. I guess that is what you wanted to ask with that question. Or
no, it's I don't, most of these things have been about bans for the past couple of weeks. I'm going to stay a little bit away from it.
Yeah, sure.
Instead, is touching on something which I kind of spoke about with Agrita, where we were talking about this rehabilitation thing, about where if you get banned, if you feel punished, you kind of learn your lesson because of what you miss. And obviously, you went through this big, life-changing period. Obviously, growing up, going through adolescence and everything, but it didn't really stop there. Now, granted, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say that I stopped after the first attempt. Did I fuck?
Yeah.
But as soon as, like, saying the end of 2018 to 2019, we've got the Shell one, and there's a team which is planning on being created, which is maybe the origin of polite execution or whatever it was called. Abfahrtschnickerdoodle. When it was going to be you and all the German players, you and Powerfruit and Kabuki and
that was PAX. Yeah, that was the start of PAX. That was even before TAS, I think. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so this is you kind of being reintroduced back into VL in what is a silver gold league, but the rules were so janky that as long as you finished gold 4, you were allowed to play, which by proxy I think you then were.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no more ardent.
It was gold 1 finish actually.
Gold 1 finish, but currently gold 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it brings me to the question of what actually changed, because I don't know if Pex actually had a Smurf. I don't know if Spooky was like legitimate or if he just never played or whatever happened, but there's certainly a chain of events which then happened, which was on both a personality-based, a behavioural sense, and also the different ways that we skirted around certain rank restrictions, which followed over that next 3 to 4 months. So what made you continue down that path, despite saying that all these things had kind of changed who you were?
I don't know what you really mean in that sense. The polite execution thing was before my punishment, but also at that point I was eligible.
Right.
I was fully eligible for VL, as were all my team members, apart from Remix.
Yeah.
Remix didn't stay on the team though. So I brought an IRL friend in. Both of my IRL friends, Spooky and Lewison was his name at the time, were very inactive because of real life reasons. One of them was both of them were studying and not at home, so they didn't have time to play League of Legends. They were still good though. We scrimmed 1 or 2 times and the team fell apart, but it was never really I would say I want to circumvent rank restrictions, because I knew I was fine. And when January rolled around, where it was like start of season 9, I was doing my rank matches. Others were too. Inequitas, for example, got gold 3 and therefore wasn't eligible.
Yeah.
I got silver 2 on my main account on Rewind. Fair and square. No inting, nothing. I never dodged a single game either. Like, I can fully say that because I laid all of my DMs open that I had with Dewey, just so I'm like, okay, this is it. If there is anything you want to punish me for, that's all of it. And while I was, and I can definitely say that, while I was encouraging Dewey to dodge because it was such a safe way, it never felt like I was doing something wrong. Also, it was obviously me encouraging him, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's his decision, but it's not helping if I say, "Oh, you should definitely dodge, bro." Like, it's so good. Like, we can actually play together.
Yeah.
But I think at that time, was it really me trying to break competitive integrity, or was it me trying to play with a friend without smurfing in a sense, you know?
Yeah.
So I think Redden touched on this. Two other admins knew what was happening. One other admin also encouraged him of doing that.
So
everyone in VL.
Name names?
No, I'm not gonna name names because I think that's like. I think like whatever happened at the start of 2019 is irrelevant now, anyways.
Right, okay.
I feel like maybe for Dewey, but coming from the admin team, I know he's gonna get a second chance. Everyone that appeals is gonna get a second chance, and I think no one is really perfect, and we all did some shady things in some way. But at the end of the day, it's more about I've said this to Joycey. You're corrupt. So was Impress.
Yeah.
Every admin, every league owner is corrupt in his own way. But which corruption would you rather have? And that is a choice you have to make. Would we rather have Impress being corrupt and bringing his friend in to Smurf? Or would we rather have Joyce in, who bans like every Smurf but has done shady things in the past?
Yeah.
Maybe one or two. Nothing that really matters if we go down that road. So nothing more than I did. Which one would you rather take? I don't know. For me, it's Joycey. Not because I like him, but because I think VL under him is like VL's Giga Smurfing. I don't know. Like, such a good league.
It's been. I'll do it this way. It's been such a upward trajectory over the past few years. So I think it's always been a bit strange, and I've analysed you as a person because I've kind of always known of you since back when you were joining Rivals, since back when you were joining PWC and all that kind of stuff. But I never really fully knew who you were, and obviously over the years, kind of gotten to know you. And it's always been like, Rocc's reliable when he's passionate, but as soon as that passion dies or his passion goes to something else, he's no longer reliable for that thing. And I'm just wondering what your opinion is of that. So, to say a couple of examples, you're someone that will say that you will always be part of the admin team, because in your heart of hearts you truly believe that you will always be part of the admin team. It's not impossible that will change, and you will go back on that word just because it will be more fun for you to do something else. You might say that you want VL to be like this perfect place, but if you want to play with a friend or whatever, you're gonna like encourage things to happen which should make that possible. Where I don't want to say it's selfish, because everyone's selfish to a degree, but there's that, I don't want to say untrustworthiness, or I mean, hopefully you can understand where I'm coming from. I don't think there's a word I can really think of to describe it. And would you say that's still the case now, if you think it was even true back then?
Back then for sure. I had very selfish traits. In a sense, I was really in that PEG roster. I really wanted it to happen because I just wanted to win something at once. I wanted to be good at something again, I guess.
Yeah.
Because football is no longer there for me. I'm too bad to reach plat again, or that was what I thought at least. And even if I do, will I ever be on a plat team and will I ever be good on it? Because when I was on Rivaled, I lost every game. When I was in VL, when I was smurfing, I lost 50% of my games.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a really selfish trait for me. I want to stay on the admin team forever is still something I would want to pursue, but things happened. It's no longer possible. Maybe sometime later. But currently I just yeah, I don't know how public it is, and I don't think it should be that public, but there was basically some I would say some misused trust from one person towards me, and we've talked it out. We're like, grown men, it's all good. It's not like there's any bad blood, but I can tell you that much. stuff that happens or is being said behind closed doors, or rather in admin room or mods channel, is interesting at times. Because at the end of the day, even though there are admins and there is a relationship where it's like where you have to differentiate, it's still like they're friends. We were all friends in the staff team, and so we made some jokes. There's something called the mischief archive.
Right.
So you can see where that's going. So can I really commit to having that relationship with others when I know that something out of that is going to get leaked, which happened? I don't know. Can I? I felt like, no, I cannot at the time. Did I have in mind that I want to play? No, not at all. I left the admin team. I did not have any offers for playing or anything. I did not have the intention to post and looking for team. The one thing that the guy that approached me was Blaze, and he was asking me, do you want to be part of NSK in any sort, like coach, manager, player, whatever?
Yeah.
And so getting to know Blaze and all the other guys from like F1, and also me joining them for F1 was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, I always wanted to be part of an org, which is why I was the manager of VGR at some point, manager of 7DS.
Coach of Pro, let's not forget that great coaching success story.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so but it's not like me wanting to be part of an org was like that thing that I would put over me wanting to be on the admin team, because I think me on the admin team was a good thing. I think what I did was really good. I think what we as a team achieved was very good. And there was no reason for me to leave apart from one thing. And if that thing wouldn't have occurred in the way it did, nothing would have happened. I would still be on the admin team and I would still be fine with it. I still wouldn't have like the intention to play. I didn't, but then it was like, okay, NSK needs a jungler. Okay, I think about playing again. Okay, obviously playing is fun. Yeah, so I just tried out, see where I am in terms of competitiveness, because I thought like, okay, you're like super washed up in terms of fives, because I haven't played in such a long time.
I mean, the team you were playing on was PTSD. Let's be honest.
let's not talk about that. Yeah, so if you get smashed by Division 4 teams week in, week out, as we did on PTSD, would you think you would be able to work on a Division 1 team? Because I thought, okay, I won't, but I'll still give it a try, right?
Yeah.
Because they're in need of a jungler. Where can you actually find a jungler nowadays? A decent one that is also has experience in fives, can maybe shot call, you know. I think that's one of the roles that is like the hardest to fill.
I mean, you think there's only Lordio's not properly a jungler. Shenzin's now role swapped. The only jungler that you could say has pretty much always consistently been a jungler in VL is Ice. I think it's like the only one left now.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so the idea came to my mind of like playing again, and I was like, yeah, sure. While lockdown is going on, I still have the time when lockdown's over, and or not lockdown, but let's say when I can play football again, when it's safe for me to play football again without getting infected and then infecting my mom or whatever.
Yeah.
I won't be able to play anymore, and that's cool. I don't have this fire burning in me that says like I need to play. I need to prove a point. No, I take this as I want to play because not because I don't have anything better to do, but rather because it's like I like League of Legends.
Yeah.
I like team environments. I like spending my time with teams. So I might as well do that now that I can't be on the admin team anymore. Or I can, but I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Because being on the admin team is quite time consuming. I would say you are around in VL for like most of your day, just having an eye on VL, right? Having an eye on tickets. Not actively working, but like you're passively, you're just lurking basically.
Is
It
there enough
takes a
to
lot of
stress
time.
you out if you were something was going on?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, is this now your last split that Rocc will most likely ever play unless something changes going forward?
Yeah, I mean, is it really predictable right now with the events that are currently happening?
It's hard to say, but what is it going to be a month after this split ends? Probably got another 3-4 weeks, or maybe 8 weeks in total at the max. I think by then, like grassroots has probably picked up again. At least in Germany, obviously, you've already got your Bundesliga starting again, so I must think it's not going to be too far away.
Yeah, but even like you have to imagine that like my mom's got a lung illness, basically.
Right, so it's pretty.
It is, yeah, it's dangerous. For example, I haven't seen my girlfriend for like 80 days now. So I'm like out here blue balling. But anyways, so you can see, it's my own decision whether I start playing football again or not. If me and my family declare that it's safe for me to play football again, then yes. But when will we reach that point where it's like completely safe, where you don't know if one of the not pads at the fucking football pitch has fucking corona?
Yeah, it's gonna be
You don't know, like
almost indefinite amount of time. Not to not to make a joke about the admin team, but yeah, almost an indefinite amount of time.
yeah, and so I can't predict now if there is another split. I would be happy because currently it's fun. We're not looking too bad currently with NSK.
So what's the goal of this split? So obviously you come into it. If I remember correctly, it was a 0-2 team that's now 1-2.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a 2-1 series against Fullpine Esports, who were third, who had beaten Horizon Shadow, who are now third. So they weren't a slouch of a team. What's your goal for the rest of the split?
I think everyone in the org, including also Blaze, knows that we're not gonna win Division 1. Not this split. Maybe next, depends on what's happening. But currently, it's all about not getting relegated. Like, the org wants to stay as an org, and I love that. I love the whole idea about long-term commitment to VL, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what the whole league system is built on. If there is going to be a relegation match, we're going to play it. We're not going to dip and be like, okay, we're going to reapply next split, like, see why at. But
yeah.
But we want to avoid that match, and we're going to do everything that we can. And I think that's like the main target. If we can achieve higher because we are now, for some reason, super strong, why not?
Big
but
superstar jungler transfer. That's how.
not really. But yeah, main target is just avoid relegation.
So
I guess
I'm gonna pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
To you saying that you're one of Seven Deadly Sins, like forefathers, if we want to use that term. You're one of the original creators, the owners.
Yeah.
When Seven Deadly Sins is mentioned, you'll still know that if it wasn't for you, part of that wouldn't be a thing. To what degree, obviously, you can think about that. But the question I want to ask is, what orgs that are gone around that you've been part of, maybe that you've played against a lot, what are some of the more noticeable orgs that are knocking around, not just VL, but obviously they're part of Rivals and CL as well. What are the ones that you kind of hold closest to say that there's a part of you in that org, or there's always going to be a little bit of rivalry with that organisation? Which ones are the ones that really stick out?
Oh, that's hard actually. Like,
If any.
if any, yeah. I'm thinking. I was obviously the manager for VGR. Got to know a lot of nice people. We had ups and downs. They're definitely part of my heart. Although they seem to be quite irrelevant in a sense now. It feels like because they're last place Division 2, they're not having a great time. But
I think they only won one game in Division 1 last split, and now they're one
yeah,
win in Division 2 this split. It's not the nicest
yeah,
trajectory for them.
yeah. But you have to remember they have been around since the start of 2019, and I think that's so respectable. And that is definitely one thing. We also have Centurion, for sure. Whereas I've never really been a part of Centurion. I always wanted to be,
For a long
and
time.
I still think I would want to be a part of Centurion. Also, when I did, obviously I was playing for you guys in the EPL.
Yeah.
Not to confuse with the English Premier League, but with the European Phoenix League, that is an amateur league. I never had the feeling that it was kind of an org, but more like two separate teams playing under the same name. I don't know if that's different if you're actually part of the org. That's just what I.
Yeah. It's a weird. I mean, I'll let you finish answering the question in a second, but just to talk on that. So, obviously, I tried to make the org initially at the very end of 2018. After a split, 2 shell tournaments and the split, the longest one we've ever had. After that, I was like, right, I'll try again. Didn't end up working. I wanted a team of, I think, you, of Dewey, of Endeavour. I was trying to build this super team. Didn't end up working. Ended up sacking it all off. And obviously, the only reason it really got brought back is because after the finals, after the OPN versus WSL semi-final, where OPN won with Dan, Kears, Bramsh, Wellesley come to me and Simon and was like, because obviously me and Simon were playing on Ike at the time, was like, let's do the reunion. Like, the original players, but instead of Ryan, we'll bring in Wellesley, because obviously they'd found a partnership that had worked and say, right, okay, let's play Jungle. So we went to go join the Jet League as us 5. And then VL was starting, and I was like, should we join a Centurion again back in VL? So it wasn't even really my idea to fully set it up. But then it was like, right, okay, as you know, the environment of CNT isn't Trigger's the owner, because in essence it was kind of Kiz's team. And I think it's the reason it fell apart in the first place, that original roster, is kind of what's keeping it together in the current one, where me and Kiz are entirely equal. If anything happens with CNT, it's Kiz's decision, really, for the main team. But he still respects the fact that it's my org, so CNA is something that I've got complete control over. And now I'm actually creating kind of a third team, which is set to play in the EPL, which will be like a Plat Diamond team. So, if anyone's interested. So it is an org, but CNC is its own little organism, which I've not got too much control over. But I think it's better that way, because we know what I do when I get too involved in something. It goes boom. So it's a good little system. But yeah, is there any other team that you'd say? So when you look at 7DS, do you still think, that's my team? In the same way that, I think Dortmund's your football team, right? Is there a league team that exists that isn't pro, like within the amateur scene, that you're just like, yeah, if there's any, it's that one? Would it be VGR or 7DS, or would it maybe be Einsatzbreit way back when? What was?
If I had to join a team or
one that you would say that if you were to watch them play on stream, you want them to win, just simply based off the fact it's them, even if it wasn't.
Looking at how last split was going, I always root for CNT, for sure. 7DS is a bit of a weird one, honestly, because when I was still not really grown up in a sense, which I would consider me quite grown up compared to when we all started this shit, right?
I'd like to think we all are.
Yeah, sometimes you'd like to think that, but um, back in the days, there was like Kui on 7DS, there was Endeavor on 7DS, there was Ice on 7DS. Three people that I knew were witch hunting me
Yeah.
for like so long, tried to get me banned, tried to find anything they could just to get me banned. So when I came back into the league, end of 2018, start of 2019, I was still like, no, fuck these guys, honestly. Like, I don't like them at all. But the more I spent time around them, the more I really look back at the times. What they did was what I would do now. So I can fully understand them, and I also really like them nowadays. Played some games with Thomas the other week. We played some Apex Legends actually. Ice is just we're constantly talking really. Even Kui, we on the pub quiz was like the first time I actually spoke to him in like ages, I think. So yeah, nowadays I feel completely different about 7DS again. It was like 7DS, the whole thing I stand for, to 7DS, what I despise, what should never exist.
Yeah.
And now it's 7DS again, and I see Harshy playing, I see Ice playing, and it's like, oh, it's kind of cute, you know.
Kraft
it's
is
like
playing.
even Kraft, yeah, more of a throwback. Even it's, I definitely rooted for them yesterday to win. I think I did at least. Yeah.
I think I wanted them to win, or maybe I didn't.
I'm just thinking whether they played NSKA or not, but they didn't.
No,
So
they
I did
played
root
NK,
for
yeah,
them.
they played NK.
But yeah, completely. If 7DS, I know that 7DS, the current 7DS team, I think is gonna stay the main team.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I think if there was another split of 7DS and I knew I could only play for one more split, if Ice would ask me, yo, you want to join 7DS? I couldn't decline. You know.
Yeah. That'd
It's
be
like
the homecoming. The whole come to full circle.
yeah, that's like I don't know how to compare it, but there were some footballers that started their careers off at like small clubs, or not even small clubs, but just like the clubs that gave them the opportunity to get big.
Yeah, I think
And
Tevez would. I think he started
yeah,
at Boca Juniors, did his whole thing, and then finished at Boca Juniors or
yeah,
something like that.
basically like that. Only that there isn't really a level difference, but only that is what it all started with.
Yeah.
That is what. That's just my whole development, also as a person. I think. Start of 7DS, dickhead. Hating the people on 7DS that were doing the right thing, to kind of adoring 7DS being back in a sense again. So yeah, definitely. If Ice would say, "Yo, come to 7DS, play as I was starting," I would play any position, whatever it wants from me. Like,
Giant Bright, you're getting kicked. Sorry about that.
but like, it's not even about. It wouldn't be a bad thing towards Blaze or anything. I think NSK is a super good org, and I would tell Blaze, yo, I'm gonna be off for this split, but next split I'm gonna be there. When I can't play, I will be helping you with everything I can. But it's more of like a hard decision, right? If there was any org that I could join from my last split, it would definitely be 7DS. Yeah, like how cool is it that they are back? Even that, like, it's so cool. We have Centurion.
Good, yeah.
We have Centurion, we have 7DS, we have VGR. We have 3 OG teams basically. So like
yeah, I think when you look back to, I mean, personally, my
OPN too, actually. OP Nerds was there 2019 too.
Yeah, I mean, I see that last CL split and that first VL split in 2018. I see that as like the founding fathers, the origins of where everything came from. So for me, it was Hentai Haven, Seven Deadly Sins, and then you've kind of got revivals floating around as this weren't part of it but were part of it kind of thing. I mean, everyone will remember that they were the ones that won CL in the end, I think, or unless somebody else picked it up. I don't know, Endeavour can confirm whether he won that one or not. But obviously the thing with Hentai Haven was they were never the they were always good, but they were never the competitive one. Like as soon as Chicks with Sticks kind of fell. but you always looked at 7DS as that was the team to beat. And I think anyone who's been part of it or wants to kind of know what VL was all about, I think 7DS is the first team you think of when you think of VL. 7DS, and I think putting Centurion in the same sentence, I think gives 7DS a disservice for the things that they've had to go through. I mean, obviously they turned into WSL in the end, but the most winningest org in VL history. I think they went unbeaten other than one game in some of the splits. They've turned it around from situations where you think there's no chance 7DS win, and then they win. It's like obviously in that 2019 season, they were like hovering around third, and then they won the whole thing. And legitimately most of the time as well. Obviously, Endeavour Sandbag as always could always be brought up, but legitimately at the same time. So it is good to see them back, and we'll obviously hope that they stick together and climb through the ranks and see how far they go. But on the flip side of that, Claytron's Academy, Claytron's Fallen, who were also one of your... I think they were starting to gain some level of respect amongst the community as an organisation. Obviously, they're always towards the bottom or the middle of the packs, and there was obviously they made it to that semi-finals after OPN got banned, so they kind of got pushed up one. And then obviously they created an academy team. It's like, okay, this team's here to stay now. One of the teams similar to OPN that keep their roster together, and now they've fallen. Got an opinion on not 7DS, on Claytrons?
As an outsider, I do have the opinion that it's sad. I don't know what reasons there were to disband the team so abruptly. Maybe it was they couldn't handle losing because they weren't used to losing in a sense. Because last split they went like undefeated, I think, right?
Yeah,
in Division 3.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like this split they actually... I knew from talking to Valk and other people, they were like, yeah, we're going to take Division 2 by storm as well. We're going to be in Division 1 by no time.
Yeah.
But then they didn't. They actually got like held up by... I think they role swapped and everything. Maybe it got too boring for them. I'm also the kind of guy who... I like to jump teams. If I'm only like... let's say if I'm not super successful, if I'm on a team that's super successful, why would I leave them? Why would I be bored of winning? Winning is the best feeling in the world.
What happened with 7 Deadly Snakes?
Mental boom. That was my mental just booming.
Oh, right, okay.
That was nothing else. So if any of the guys watch it, apologies. That was my mental couldn't handle it for some reason.
So for people that don't know, that was the end of 2018 when 100 Cobra was going to be made by Impress. He was going to make the secondary team, which was a merge with 7DS to make 7 Deadly Snakes. Didn't end up working out. Just so if people don't remember, I weren't part of that. Yeah. So yeah, always hopping about. I was going to ask another question too with Claytrons, but I can't quite remember. Let's talk about Div 2 though, because I think that's dead interesting. Looking at what could potentially been the hype group. And I want to get your opinion on teams such as Bob and such as OPN, and even Claytrons to a degree, that have kind of been around for a while as a mediocre team, but developed some level of synergy to become decent. Claytrons, they didn't do too well in the first split. Next split, they made it to semi-finals. The next split, they won Div 3. OPN Nerds, when they first started, which was a bottom feeder, then the next split, they win, but obviously Smurf.
Yeah.
And now they have the first split in Div 2. Goes okay, and then this split, they look like the best team, obviously other than DV. And Bob, who splits after splits were absolutely awful. At the end of 2019, they're picking up wins against Ike and Claytrons, and then the next split that they're finishing second, and the people are respecting them as not just a 0-18 team. Do you think there's something to be said for teams that actually stick together? Or do you think this is just the comparative looking at them players compared to the other players? Maybe the fact that Claytrons are no longer against Laudio and Last, but now they're against whoever the fuck they're against.
So first of all, Bob isn't in Division 2, obviously.
Division 3, yeah, sorry.
That's what they're in. But yeah, the fact that Bob's still here, Bob's still rocking it, they don't seem like they're going to disband. They have infinite mental. I think they found like the fountain of mental. Like, holy shit. These guys are so nice in every single aspect. And yeah, I love that they're sticking around. So team sticking together, yeah. I think if you stick together as a team and your mental is working out, so let's say you have a 50-50 split. You go like 3-3, you're not getting promoted, you're not getting relegated, and you're in Division 2. Then it comes down to how does the team handle not being at the top? Not even to speak about how would it handle being at the bottom, right? How
Yeah.
would it handle being relegated? And I think that's super difficult. You have to have the right mental. I think mental is about everything in this league. I know it's also about how good someone is at the game, for sure, and how the team works together. But I think if people have a winner mentality and a team orientated mentality, I think it can get very far. Just as an example, NSK, I don't think I don't think any of our players are like super good individually, but we have also like our mental is so good. We have Cradden. If anything goes wrong, I've seen it in Trash Talk server. He just pulls a rhyme and blows into the kazoo and everything's GG again, you know. But like, you need that kind of shit if you want to stick around as a team. You need friendship, I think, as well, as displayed by Bob, Claytrons, OP Nerds, Plague, maybe. I know they meme about uh they meme about each of them being shit all the time, but I do think they like each other. You
Yeah.
have Centurion. Centurion, I know for a fact that they're all good guys. They like each other.
Yeah, I mean they play
Um,
RuneScape when they're not playing League and stuff, so they're always together and enjoy each other's company. So you say NSK's got a good mental. Sorry, NSK's got a good mental. I want to talk about NSKA and the recent Byron change. Do you know anything about that? What went on? What was the mental like for that team? Ironically, mental god as well.
hard to judge really. I know the people that are playing in an academy, but what we really did was more so playing in houses, so like mixed in houses, senior academy, all mixed up. That was basically my tryouts. Sometimes we had Byron filling in for a scrim for senior as well. I don't know. I think, and that's what Blaze said too. Byron was a good player. It was never really on the ball whether he is bad or not in terms of NSKA. But I do think that Byron wanted to be part of the senior team. But there's also Cradden, who, in my opinion, after Bramsh, definitely one of the best supports. Not only mechanically, he always says he doesn't have mechanics, but this man's a god in terms of like Leona gameplay, Zillion gameplay. I've never seen someone hitting so many Zillion bombs,
Yeah.
like double bombs. It's actually crazy. But like, I do think that maybe Byron overestimated himself. I heard some rumors about him not caring about display anymore because he's leaving anyways.
Right.
And I don't think it was Byron's decision at the end to leave. I do think that that was the reason why why he's not part of NSK anymore. And yeah,
Do you think that approach is good by an orc? Obviously that situation has a lot of independent variables, so it's hard to really push that onto other examples. But do you think this kind of cutthroat show respect for what is in essence just an amateur team and a bunch of colours that make a logo? Do you think that cutthroat nature, that kind of almost disrespectful nature, is what these amateur teams should go through? Would you think it doesn't really matter, or like what's your opinion on that as an ideology?
So what do you mean by that? By how NSK handled this situation?
How they handled it. The fact they said, okay, if you're gonna leave, then you'll leave
But
now.
that wasn't a reason. That Byron wanted to leave after the split was, I think, last week he put it on his looking for team.
Yeah.
And that's fair and square. He was allowed to explore options. He wanted to leave. He said I think he told people that he wants to leave, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as someone says, I don't care about the split anymore,"
Right. Okay.
I'm because I'm gone next split, and that's just rumors I've heard. That's not like I've heard it directly. As if that mentality is there, would you keep a player on your team that says I don't care anymore? Because I wouldn't. If I were to lead that org, I would also say like, okay, you can like fuck straight off because we have so many other players that can fill your role. Not maybe not on your level, because Byron was really good. He was a good shot caller, a main shot caller. He couldn't. Don't think he works as like a backup shot caller because he wants the last say.
Yeah.
That's his personality. But teams need that personality.
Yeah.
That's what that's what NSK needed. They needed someone to pull the trigger on certain calls. Whether that's the right thing to do or not. They needed someone to say, we have to do this and then this, and we're gonna do it now. That's what they lacked. And yeah, and that's what I'm there for. It's not. I'm not saying I'm like a macro genius. I call so many shit things, and maybe Byron does too. But at least we can tell people what to do, and they follow it as a team. If you do not have an assigned shot caller that can pull the trigger, the team might split up. So I think that trait about Byron, it's the same trait as me. So when we scrimmed together and he filled for senior, our personalities were clashing. I pulled the trigger on a call, Byron pulls the trigger on another call. Team splits up.
Yeah.
It's not working. We wouldn't work together as teammates, but I can see Byron working as a teammate for other people. And that's also what he did in NSKA. But as soon as that mentality comes up with, I don't really care anymore, then I don't know. Like, doesn't matter how good of a player you are. If you're having that mentality, then just there's a dog. Get the fuck out, you know? Like,
do you think he's now shot himself in the foot to find a new team?
No, I don't think that any player could shoot themselves in the foot at any cost. Everyone kind of finds a new team. You see Luke, aka Kiddles, whenever he joined back into VL, it only took 1 or 2 weeks. He was back on a team.
Yeah.
Who?
Do you think it? Okay, let me ask you. Do you think it hurts his chance of getting on an established or well-performing team?
Yes, maybe. Depends, because if the rumors are true,
Sacramentum are going to lose Spring, right? Spring's going to go and create Sacramentum Academy. They're going to need a support. If you were Sacramentum owner, would you want to pick up Byron because of that mentality? If that, we're assuming this is true, if this rumor is true, obviously.
We also have to be assuming that Sacramentum is a Div 2 team. So let's assume. Wait, are they? No.
They're currently Div 3.
They're currently Div 3, yeah.
They could make finals to face Horizon Light to get promoted. Obviously, they've done well since their roster changes. But either way, if Byron wanted to join, would you put your faith in him after all this?
Yeah, if it is Division 2, then yes. Because if I would be stuck in Division 3, and I think I could be in Division 2 or Division 1, whether it is my level or not, whether others think that I could be, but if I think I should, then I have the full right of trying to find a team in there. So if Sacramentum would look at Byron, who was a main shot caller for NSKA, who has a good leadership, maybe that's what they're lacking now that Spring's left. If they're lacking all this, then Byron's like the perfect support for them. Because you know he's going to be in Division 2, and you know he's going to work his ass off, because if Sacramentum also has an academy team, he definitely doesn't want to let that happen again.
Yeah.
Because you should know about the system of NSK. Nobody's safe. If I underperform and Corinne, Sophia, or whoever is like sitting on every team in academy, and I'm like so bad that Brandon could just say, okay, Rocc, you're going to play academy next week, and Sophia is playing in main team. That could happen to me. That could happen to anyone. So that's the system in NSK, and I can get that many people don't like it. That I think is also a reason why Byron wants to leave.
Yeah.
Gekno was also a victim of that. He underperformed strongly, I think, in the first week of playing in academy. And where do you get put after you underperform in academy? You get put on the bench. And if the others are performing well and are winning, and that's what NSK is doing, right? They're not doing bad.
Yeah,
Why would you? Why would you get Gekno from the bench to put into academy? It's such a double-edged sword where it can be so beneficial for an org to do that, but I think it can also be the death of an org because you might upset players for moving them around, for destroying team synergy, So, yeah.
So you've tried to coach a fair amount. You've tried to manage a decent amount.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say you've never really found success from that position.
Yeah.
Sometimes even the opposite of beneficial for a team. Is that still something that you want to explore? Because there's part of your... I spoke to you when you were coaching pro, and I was making a decision of if I would join or not. And you said you wanted to run this like a G2 team. You really wanted to be this. You had... Obviously, the players can only do what the players can do, but you wanted to have that goal of how you wanted the team to play. You had a philosophy, if you want to quote Louis van Gaal. But there's clearly that part of you that says, okay, that I've got a passion to want to make this work. Is that passion still there? Do you think you've got the ability to do it if you had the opportunities to find your own players and really have the time with it? Is that something you reckon you'll ever go back into doing? Or is that a dead dream?
Important thing to note, yeah, if I have the time for it. Because that's just what like cocks me on these occasions, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying I'm like a famous person and I'm like my day is fucking stacked, but I go to uni, I work, I have a girlfriend, I'm playing football in my normal life, not in lockdown. But yeah, I guess if I would have the time, I don't think that my knees are gonna last that long anymore in terms of football. So yeah, I do think I still want to. I have that thing where I do believe I could be a good coach.
If you were to make your dream roster 5 players, and you were to compete in, we'll say Division 1. No, I think that may be too easy. We'll say Division 2, but you're not allowed to use any Division 1 players. So you don't get the obvious of, your Lordios, your Lasts, your Rubens, your kids.
Yeah.
If you were to compete in Division 2, but you don't get to use any current Division 1 players, what kind of team would you want to create? Who are the kind of people that you go for? Even if it's technically maybe not the best, the style of team, the style of player in each of the positions. Who would you say you'd go for?
Yeah.
Ignoring points, but just...
Yeah, okay. Top lane is not even a question for me. Definitely Silverback.
Yeah.
By far, I think the most like... The guy just has the mentality of either I win this or fuck it. Like there's no in between.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can feel that vibe, Jungle, we would have to look at Ice as like the top jungle duo, bring it back from like WSL. So Ice, Silverback. Silverback could also be helping me with coaching if I was not there. I know what he can do as a coach. I'm really impressed by that. Mid laner would be Monzi from a Peanuts.
Yeah.
Super strong mid laner. Holy shit. Like, we scrimmed against them yesterday. What a guy. Honestly, like...
I still don't kill Monty, by the way. Just put it out there. But carry on. He then clapped me, but I'll still stick that on my resume.
Yeah,
Monty
get
mid.
you.
Bot lane?
Bot lane is where it's gonna go. Bot lane, I would go for Ambitious Ram, Shine Bright.
Really interesting combination.
Yeah,
Explain why those two, and then I want to talk about the whole team.
So Ram, I've played with, I've talked to, really young guy actually. I think he's now 19, I think, or 18. He was 18 when he was on VGR, so must be 19 now. Mechanically really gifted, but he is like the driving force of VGR. He keeps that team alive.
Yeah.
Him and Blazing Midlight, really. So yeah, of course, like you can see there is some kind of mentality there. He can still learn a lot in terms of macro. You have two really, really good shot calls with Alex and Ice. Alex being Silverback.
Yeah.
And Chime Bright just has that champion pool of like, that's just what my dream team would be, because I've told you this whole G2 philosophy back then. And I think that team could make it work. I know Alex has his picks that he prefers, but I know he also has the dedication to learn whatever someone expects from it. And I'm sure, as long as he knows it could work. You have Monzi, who played top lane and mid lane, so just flex it all the way. Chime Bright, all I have to say is Trundle support. Like, she can pull that off so good. Now imagine you have some other shit like Pike, for example. Monzi's really good at assassins. You could flex that Pike maybe between support and mid, but that's just what I think could be a really good team with a traditional ADC like Ambitious Ram, who can also whip out the big dick champions like Draven.
Yeah.
You know, that would just be my dream team in terms of mechanics, game knowledge. I think that team would stomp Division 2.
How would that team play? I know you've said like GT, but obviously, is this just non-stop early game going to make things happen? Is this they're just going to be incredibly smart in the mid game to create things? Like, how you want? Is there a lane this thing plays through? Because obviously, you talked to me about draft and about comms, but is there a play style to why you've chosen this combination of players, or is it just they're good and they talk?
Playstyle would just be 4-man roams everywhere. Jungle mid lane roaming bot lane, jungle mid support roaming top lane. Whatever objective is there to get, they're just gonna go and make a play for it. That's just how I imagine, because I can't imagine them losing lane. And if you don't lose lane, you can transition your, like, if you're even in lane, you're gonna be able to roam to another lane and help.
Yeah.
For example, and I think that's just, yeah, I think that would be the play style. Like, looking for roams whenever it's obviously able to, supporting Ice on every fucking scuttle crab he can get. You know, just give him that juicy XP lead. We know that Chime Bright and him already have like a super good synergy. I can just imagine the enemy jungle being light up because fucking Alex and top lane too. I don't know. It just seems like such a good team. But yeah, that would be the playstyle really. So really aggressive comms, in terms of roaming mobility, high damage comms definitely. Like no tanks, I don't care. But you can also opt to a scaling comp with Ram on a hyper carry, Alex on Gangplank, and Monzi with the assassin to make plays early in mid, and Ice maybe also on Wukong J4 to kind of counter that scaling in a sense. So I think, yeah, that would be how they would play. They could have different play styles, but the scaling comp I always think is that is what you do when you don't know how to play League of Legends.
Yeah.
You just wait. But if you know how to play League of Legends, you're just going to go all in and just fuck people up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's fair. Someone, obviously, Chime Bright, I think, is what most people would be surprised about. Someone who's relatively new to the league. No, she's obviously performed really well, unbeaten so far in Div 4. I think she was sub for Plague last split, but I don't think ever got any game time. So it's a surprise factor. And obviously, compared to someone like Valkyrie, who won Division 3 last split, not looked too bad in Division 2, has the level of comms. You may say clashes with Ike and Silverback.
Yeah.
But obviously, you put Chime above Valk. You've given reasons why for Chime. And I want to now speak about your history with Valk as a very dreadfully put together transition, but we've tried to make it work. This is someone that you played on PWC. Team collapsed. Went to Fireflies. Team collapsed. You've seen it on CLT, now the team's collapsed, and Pro team collapsed. All kind of these mid-split collapses that Valk's been a part of, and I don't know if there's been any others. What do you put that down to? Do you think this is a individual? I don't want to say personality defect, but we know how much effort this guy puts into stuff. Do you think that's?
Yeah.
Do you think it's then a burnout, an explosion of frustration? Because obviously there's a reason you didn't put him over Chime, and kind of linking those 3 points together. What's your kind of synopsis of it all?
So, the thing with Valk is that his personality can be a bit abrasive, I think. Is that what you call it? Without trying to be offensive, obviously.
In your face, not necessarily aggressive, but kind of too much sometimes.
Yeah, it can be, but like I think in Playtrons it was it was like the perfect mixture. I like Valk as a person.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But I know for others it could be bad. I know Joycey can deal with his personality, but I'm sure not everyone can, and that's fine. Not everyone can deal with me, and that's totally cool. But what I have to say is I don't know how much he was involved with the collapse of CLT. Really, no idea.
But PWC, Fireflies, and Pro.
I was there. So yeah, PWC. What happened? Who was the initiator? Well, let's say Kui kind of sweet talked him into what could be, or what could be Team Fireflies with Ice, with me as ADC instead of me on top lane, without Glenn as ADC.
Yeah.
It could be way more competitive. And I think Valk asked me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to play ADC again. It's more fun than top lane. Everyone can agree with that. So yeah, so that was not really. It was his fault that PwC collapsed, but it's not like the team itself collapsed. It just moved without Glenn to another brand, basically. Yeah. So that was a shit thing to do to Glenn, but it wasn't like a collapse.
Okay, so who wants that's a collapse then? But what about Fireflies?
Fireflies was down to me, obviously, at that time. It was down to Kui and I saying they're gonna leave for 7 years because we weren't doing that hot.
Yeah.
Valk was just there with me confessing to him that I'm smurfing, and Kui and I telling him that they're gonna leave for 7 years. What would you do in that situation? It's a tough one, yeah. I think next one we talk about is Project Unknown, right?
Yeah.
Project Unknown, starting off really well. Unknown star players, Miwa and Olu, really doing great. Then Miwa had his mental wasn't right. That didn't start with me coaching, because I've never had problems with Miwa. We only did like one solo session, and then the next thing I knew, he left.
Yeah.
Because he didn't like playing with Valk, I think. Fair enough. We tried to find someone else. So either you or Endeavor.
Yeah.
And I think you played with us, right? I think for a week.
I played for the week. I went in jungle, and you had Tease play AD carry.
Oh yeah.
And then after that, I was like, we went 0-3. I was like, no. So that probably the same thing with Fireflies, really. Just a matter of circumstance. Everybody's leaving.
Yeah, and when Olu was, you saw when we had to play T's ADC, it was because Olu just didn't show up to the games.
Yeah.
So that was a red flag, and I was like, as the coach, I was like, yeah, what are we gonna do? Are we just gonna kick him? And everyone was like unsure, because obviously he was like
the best player. But what do you do with that kind of player who never practices? When he shows up to practice or scrims, they just int because they're not used to playing together again. Yeah.
So we got rid of him. Who did we have left?
Well, Stone ended up moving down to AD carry to play with Valk. I think Kraft left. I left. I think
Um,
Tease maybe went jungle or something.
Tease went jungle, and we had Hodgson top lane and Blazing mid lane.
Yeah.
The most non-communicative team, or top side rather.
Yeah.
So after going like 0-3, I just asked the team, guys, do you want to do this? And they're like, nah, not really. This isn't fun. Let's just disband. But it came never down to Valk being the reason for the team to disband, which it seems like it from the outside, obviously, but that's just not how it is. And also, we're not like that close anymore because life's going on. You get to know other friends, whatever. But still, like, I would never say that he's the kind of person that can make a team fold. Although I know his personality can be not every ADC could deal with a support like Valk. Judging from back then when we were still close, but maybe he's changed now. Maybe I don't think he's a calmer person, but maybe he's just the better League of Legends player now. So people don't have to deal with someone yelling at them while being shit, because that was the reason. But that was just what it was back then,
he's
right?
definitely improved from the PWC days. I know that
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, we reckon CLT is probably nothing to do with Valk then. So is the reason Chimes above Valk isn't because of mental? Is it the shot calling? Because did you consider him?
Mostly shot calling.
Mostly shot calling.
You could consider him, yeah, for sure. I know that Ram and him, I think they like each other, so they would work as a duo. But what certainly doesn't work is Ice and Valk.
Yeah.
Ice and Valk. It's not, they don't hate each other anymore, as you can see, because Ice joined CLA with the permission that
Valk was going to coach it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that was like
back to front.
That was weird, but yeah. So there's no personal difference between them, but I guess when it comes to shot calling, it would be like me and Byron. They're both like the same, very vocal, can pull the trigger on something, we're going to do this and that. What if they disagree on something? What's going to happen then?
Yeah.
It might work for a long time, but at some point, if there is a call and it splits up, team splits up, they lose a game, boom, mentality is gone. And you also have Silverback, who can also be a shot caller. I don't know. Like, I think that's...
that's fair. I just thought it'd be something decent to look at. The final point on that, though, is the way that the groups have ended up working out. So, last split, I made finals, Bao won Div 4, Ice won Div 2, and we all ended up being 3 junglers in Div 4. Now, I only bring this up because it got re-brought up today in general chat about... I mean, I thought I was complaining about it. I wasn't. I was more just surprised that they didn't apply for Div 3. And everything to do with that, the fact that teams can apply to join whatever division they want. We saw NSK just get promoted because of it. We saw players able to drop down the league, or if they win it, just stay in it. What is your opinion on the whole thing? Do you think there should be some level of rule, even if you don't know what that rule might be? Do you think there should be some level of rule? Do you think it should just be a goodwill thing? What's your opinion on it altogether? Or do you just think it's fine?
When I was on the admin team, my opinion always was like, why do we allow them to move up? Why would we? Like,
for the NSK game.
I was also NSK as well.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I wasn't even there for the decision. I think Joycey just... There's a lot of times where Joycey just overrules everyone. Not in a bad way. I'm sure that everyone would have voted the same, but he just calls on something and it's cool.
I mean, he's the owner after all.
Exactly. Like, he can do that and it's all fair and square. But I do disagree with him on some cases sometimes. And that was one of the cases because I was like, why did we allow NSK to move up? They didn't do anything. They have to stay in Div 2. Otherwise, this whole system doesn't make sense. Why is Hentai Haven allowed to be in Div 4 with a plat peak jungler? Although, or ADC or support or whatever. That was just... But then again, that was down to, I think it was Byron not doing the roster checks properly.
Right.
Maybe. And I think I can understand that more than NSK just being promoted for doing nothing. And yeah, It's as much as I would like there to be a rule for it, I think as hard that it's like that's just also how hard it is to implement a
Not
rule
for
that
teams to go up or for players to drop down.
yeah, because what yeah, but both basically
Both.
because what I mean you could say a player that has played in Division 2 isn't allowed to play in Division 3 is split after unless they relegate. But what if they just disband or he just leaves the team before or like in a matter of teams, right?
Yeah.
If they don't promote, what if they just split up, form a new roster? Are they just going to be like, no, because it's the same team again? Because the whole stay together as a team is revolved around loyalty points, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole benefit you get. So what if they just say, okay, we form a new org, all good. If we don't take the loyalty points, we don't need them. We move up anyways, right?
Yeah. That makes sense. My personal point on it, when I said in general chat, is that frankly, it doesn't matter if a winner of Div 2, Ice is just an example. I don't mean to fucking pitchfork him or anything.
Yeah. You could say Bar too. You could say yourself. It doesn't matter.
The whole reason, the whole reason that I think it's fine for us to drop down is the fact that the splits are now so short that if you are that good, you will just win, and if you do just win, you will just get promoted. And because it's short, it just enables teams to really end up where they are as fast as possible. I think the issue is not only the split short, but the wait in between was long, which is obviously conversations which are being had, and it was brought up the other week. Just trying to make it say split 1 into split 2 is not going to be such a long period to wait. So it does feel like these quick promotions are actually quick and not actually 3 months long. But yeah, ultimately, I think when the splits are so quick, if you can get 4 rather than 2 in a year, then a team jumping up quickly because you've got players sandbagging, and I think it ends up kind of sorting itself out anyway. Especially when you compare last split to this split. Last split, if I was to tell you at the start, who do you think is going to win Div 4? You probably would have said WSLG. If I would have said, who do you think is going to win Div 3? You probably would have said Claytrons. If I said, who do you think is going to win Div 2? You probably would have said WSLR. If I asked who do you think is going to win Div 1, you probably would have said Plague. You could have argued maybe Centurion. But let's be honest, I was playing Jungle.
Yeah.
But that one's maybe the only one which was contentious. Whereas this split, if I was to ask you who you would think thought was going to win Div 4, you probably would have said Clayton's Academy. You've now said this, to be fair. But Inkerton was certainly a shout. If I would have said who do you think is going to win Div 3, you would have probably maybe said Sacramentum, NSKA, Horizon Light are top. Who's going to win Div 2?
Who knows?
Who knows, right?
Deja Vu? Nah, they've got Wilder. They can't win. But then they're also far off, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's them two. It's them and OPN at the top. It's so unknown. Div 1, it was like, well, you expected it to be Plague, and then obviously CNT quite easily 2-0 them the other week. So it's getting better and better, I think, the more the splits get on, and hopefully more teams can stick together as an org, and more roles can be created, and there is some level of longevity with 7DS sticking together as a roster, Plague and Centurion pretty much sticking together as a roster, NSK obviously sticking together as an org, going through everything they've gone through, and now having to go through a less positive performance. Hopefully it all sticks together and plays it together, because I think over time it will resolve itself, and I think by the end of by summertime next year, I think every split would be pretty much perfect, provided nothing massive happens.
Yeah, I think that was the intention we had. That okay, you can sandbag, of course, if you want to, but what is it gonna like? You're gonna promote, right? So you don't gain anything from that, and people want to because now look at the prize pools we had. I don't know if you actually knew how much money there was last split, but it was actually like 200 quid split across 4 divisions.
Yeah.
That's for 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
Something like that,
not even?
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's a lot of money, like, for playing League of Legends. I think that's super good, and like we don't even want to know what the prize pools are going to be like after this pop quiz, because over 1K or something was donated. So
fucking mad, that, innit?
Yeah, crazy.
That is fucking mad.
And like I feel like this whole concept could be so perfect if people would just stay together and if people would actually respect competitive integrity in terms of, I know you guys would be like, I can understand that you are in Division 4 and it doesn't hurt the competitive integrity, but from like an outsider's point of view, it just looks very stupid.
Yeah.
But Bauer saying, oh, why is Ice allowed playing in this division? Is like Ice saying, why is Bauer allowed to play in this division? It's just hypocrisy, isn't it?
Yeah,
because like Bauer won Division 4. He shouldn't be there. He should have moved up with WSL Green, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't. Ice won Division 2, but he didn't move up, so he went into Division 4 and played with others. I don't know. I don't think it's to boost their ego, because it seems like Ice wants to stay together with 7DS. It seems like a long-term thing now that they've rebranded and everything.
Yeah, I think the three of us have got very fair points to make. And I think it's if I'm going to throw people under the bus, I should also give them an excuse. My excuse was I got carried to Div 1 finals by 4 players that were much better than me, and then proceeded to int away. The only team that I could then join other than Centurion was Centurion Academy, who happened to be Div 4. I had no other choice unless I was to give my organisation away. And I have specifically asked, can I join a different team? And I was told no. Ice could say a very similar thing, that he got carried to a victory by players such as Endeavour and Arbush, and even stronger, or Cliff, who were playing as well. You can judge those two, but particularly Endeavour and Arbush, he's made a very similar thing of saying, yeah, he's definitely better than me in jungle, but he still got carried. At least that's something he said at some point. Whether he actually believes that, I don't know.
He says that, yeah, he definitely says that.
And then he's also in a situation where he can't play Thursdays anymore, so he now has to join Div 3 or Div 4. It ended up being Div 4. Maybe you could say Div 3, but still he had to.
Div 3 they couldn't do because he was on CLA, right? Oh no, they couldn't.
Well, he chose to join CLA, but even then, you know, it became that Div 4 was his only option. With Bauer, yeah, he won. Bauer wasn't liked by many members of the community and wasn't really seen as a potential option. Like, even for CNA, I was looking for a jungler, and it's like, okay, I think Bauer would be a great addition. But then my team turned around to me and said, no, Bauer's not joining this team.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. so Bauer's in the situation where the only teams that were really offering was Inca, and it ended up working out. So everyone's got an excuse and a reason, and I don't think it's hurt it too much. Yes, 7DS are obviously the best team in that group, and yes, Inca are obviously second, but they did lose to Ramos mid. So who knows?
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't want there to be too many pitchforks thrown about for that, and hopefully the league can keep progressing. The next point I want to bring up, and we'll end it very soon, Rocc. I know you're down to, and I'm fucking boiling, by the way.
Yeah, it's hot, isn't it?
It's fucking boiling. The last point is obviously talking about the content side of things, and this is almost going to be a little bit against each other, this last conversation. So when I was made content manager, John Joe told me that you were kind of head of content as the admin team. Would you say that's true, at least as a faux title, if anything?
Yeah, it was a title, yeah.
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, pretty easy to explain. So as the staff team, we decided to spice things up a bit in terms of content, and back then it was Nixiana who
I remember
took care of that. She was then head of content. I think she also stayed for like the start of the split.
Yeah, because she didn't leave when Nav left. She stayed for a little bit.
Yeah. Or it was during the off season or the end of the, I don't really know. Honestly, I don't. But she set his whole concept out up with like rules, with like basically something about less content but more quality, like less quantity, more quality. I could get behind the thought. So I just asked in mod chat when Naf left. I was obviously promoted to admin, so I said, "What are we going to do with content? Who wants to do it?" No, I won't. Nah, I don't want to.
So did Nick say she's not going to do it? Obviously, because Nav left. Actually, do you want to quickly talk about the Nav situation? Is this something that you can shed light of? Because I've heard little things from Nav, but he's not really told me what's gone on. Nav quit the admin team and wasn't too happy about VL afterwards.
Yeah.
Do you want to shed some light? Because I know there was some bit between you and him. Or should we just skip that one?
No, we can talk about it. At the end of the day, I don't think Nav really likes me. That has to do maybe with the fact that I snaked his jungler on Elo fees back then when he was the manager, and also that the admin team thing happened. Basically, it was me being trial admin, and it was me also being on my trial, and then there was a vote for me.
Right.
For some reason, Joycey decided, or has decided, that if a trial admin wants to become an admin, the vote has to be anonymous for the trial admin.
So everyone say yes, otherwise it's not happening.
Yes,
okay.
yes. Everyone said yes, apart from Nav. So I put in a lot of effort into VL. And I think that was also seen by this whole division thing, the point thing, right?
Yeah, you certainly put effort in.
That's what we worked on, and at the end of the day, the point system as it is now is basically the same to what I did on the Enter Wonderland tournament, all on myself. And this is what VL is all about now. So it's kind of, you can see where this is going. So Nav said, you did fantastic work. You are professional, you're doing everything right. But I don't think you can be unbiased towards some people in the community. Now, I can understand that point of view. Like, I wasn't disagreeing with. I was disagreeing with him because I knew I can be, but I can't disagree with him on it in terms of I can't see you thinking that about me, because I can definitely see him thinking that about me. But that was that vote was so short after I got Impress banned, basically. Impress, who did a lot for me, who knew that Remix was smurfing, who knew me too. So isn't that like
proof to say that you're not biased?
Yeah, exactly. Towards anyone, even though it is Impress, and there's never been bad blood between me and Impress. I don't think he was a bit. He was a bit,
backstab,
angry that I smurfed.
Yeah.
But I think that was more so because he got to know me and liked me. But then again, that was the proof for me, and also it might have not been his, like it might have been to his disadvantage, but the fact that I opened up about Dewey, although he was my friend, also could mean that I'm unbiased towards things and seeing it from like the right perspective of things. At the end of the day, it was his thought process, and it was his opinion, and it was his vote.
As valid as everybody else on the admin team.
Of course. And I was sad about it because I thought I deserved it. So what I did was I talked with him about it in the admin room, and then told him, okay, if that's what it is, then you can take the trial admin role off of me, and I will apply as a league manager, because that was a role that we had in mind for all the leagues, all the divisions. So he did. Let's say Joycey wasn't around, and neither was Glenn.
During that conversation.
During Nav
taking the role off.
Nav voting against it.
Right, okay.
So Joycey comes back, and we knew that Nav was going to leave the admin team to play. I think. Yeah, to play on CNA, wasn't it?
I don't know the timeline exactly. Potentially.
Did he play on CNA last split?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then definitely.
Because I said he was going to join during that first pub quiz. I think.
Oh, I don't even know that. That timeline's a bit sketchy, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but we'll say you knew he was going to leave or whatever.
we knew he wanted to play and wanted to be a league manager.
Right.
So I
So
don't
if
think
you did that vote in 2 weeks' time, it would have been unanimous.
it would have been unanimous, yeah. So what happens then? Joycey comes back. Glenn comes back. And I don't think they were too happy about it. Neither about me leaving instantly, because I could still be on trial. But for me, if a trial didn't succeed, I'm off, you know?
Yeah, so what's the point, right?
Yeah. So I think it was more about Nav saying, yeah, but I want, like, if you're not going to take my vote for full right now, why would I still be part of the admin team?
Yeah.
So Joycey basically said, we're going to take Rocc. But Nev said, yeah, but why? It wasn't anonymous. And that's what happened.
Kind of how it ended, right? Okay.
They decided to go for me as admin instead of Nav for the last 2 weeks, which I can understand. Like, I was admin for, like, I think 6 months. You're trading 2 weeks of service for 6 months of service.
Yeah, everyone's side of the story makes sense. For
sure.
For you, you kind of deserved it, undoubtedly. Yeah. Obviously, there's fishy past, but what you've done in the recent history, you deserved it.
Yeah.
For Nav, like, he's entitled to his opinion, whether it was biased or not. Only he can answer that, and whether he ever will, I don't know.
I'm not even saying he was biased.
No, but
by the way,
potentially he could have been, and I can only assume that would have been the case. But who knows? And then he's then basically disrespected.
Yeah,
they chose you over him in essence, and it came down to that. And not only did they choose you over him, but he went against his own word to choose you over him. Is what Joycey did in that situation, or the admin team did in that situation.
Yeah,
because as they said, it needed to be unanimous, and they went against that. Okay, so that makes sense. But back to content.
Yeah.
Back to content. So you said, okay, I'm going to do it.
When Nav left, Nyx left. It wasn't like she's not going to do it anymore. It was like she's not part of the staff team, so she's not going to be head of content anymore.
Right.
I think. I think they were just really pissed off in that situation, and I can understand for sure. As I said, from my side, there's no bad blood against Nav or Nyx. Yeah, but well, I had to take over role of content manager, whatever. What I tried was, what Nyx did was she put out an application form, and people applied with their ideas. What I did, I was getting the ideas back from people after she left because I didn't know what she talked to people about. So what I did was I asked people, please come forward with the idea you want to do, like what piece of content you want to do. It wasn't off season, I think, so there was no stress yet, right?
Yeah,
what content is there in off season? I don't know, fucking browse sound effect number 2, wins Inter Wonderland. Woohoo! Yeah, nice. Yeah. You know, no content. So yeah. So they all approached me. Asko saying he wants to do this or that. OPN Dan saying he wants to do a podcast with Lord Cloud. Bauer wanting to do his magazine thing. I think he also wanted to edit some videos. Cool. Rani wanted to do Floor is Lava. Cool.
At this point, when you had to pick it up, did you want to do it? I'm not asking the question, did you want to make VL better, and did you want VL to have content? I'm asking the question, did you want to be the person to make that happen?
At the start, yes.
Okay.
For sure. Because I also did content a lot, actually.
You did the bench, you did VL Rewind, which is obviously the top plays and stuff.
Yeah, I did Rewinding Things, which was an interview series back in CL, actually.
Yeah.
I think
obviously you wanted to do Rocc and a Harsh Place as well. We don't need to talk about that one now. So you wanted to do it, and you're speaking to people, and all these people are saying they're going to do stuff. What the fuck happened?
What happened? Yeah, what happened? I can't force people to do content. Neither can you. Yeah. I told you I have like a motivation to do the bench currently. so much stuff going on now. What if you like? I'm saying, please provide your idea to me. And what happened was the only one messaging me out of 8 content creators was Bauer.
Yeah.
After I think 2 days. Then I gave them a deadline, and I was like, within the next 24 hours, I want to know what you want to do as content. Otherwise, you're gonna, there's it all. Fuck off. Yeah. Then they replied to me, and I was like, cool. So let's start get things going, right? Nothing happened. So I'm asking people, hey, when do you think you can do it? Ronnie's saying, oh, I'm gonna do it after the exams. I'm like, cool, okay. Looking forward to it. I'm asking Asko, what's happening with this or that? Yeah, I don't know. We're doing stuff. Okay, I'm asking Dan and Claude about the podcast. They're like, yeah, we have some ideas in mind and we'll do it soon. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But nothing ever came around, and I didn't know what to do in that situation. So Byron was in feedback, I think, complaining that we had lack of content, which I fully agreed on. So then he came into play, and he was like, yo, can you get me in, and I'll try and get people to do content. Nothing happened. He tried his best. Like, he was in chat. He was like, what do you guys think with of the one I did now? And he tried to spark some conversations, right? The only thing we had was the couchy content. I don't even know what the name of it is. The fucking guess it. I don't know. Some Google form.
There'd be 5 points and 5 people, and you had to guess who said each one of the things.
He was also the only one basically saying, yeah, I've got something planned. I'm rolling out. I'm like, okay, do you think we could do it as a video? Because I think that would be much cooler than a Google form. I never got a response, and he just posted it in content channel.
Yeah.
Like that. And that was where I think, do I just tell Couchy, this is shit, stop it? Or do I take it because he's the only one actually doing content as bad as it is?
Yeah.
The only content we had running at that time was Byron doing pick'ems and Couchy doing Guess It or whatever it was called. And I didn't know what to do. I don't know how you did it, like, to get people to do content. I couldn't. And that was when... It was also when, like, I think someone was in tickets asking to do content, and we agreed that it should be ran through me, but at some point Joycey just said, yeah, you can. question mark close. And I'm like, I was in admin room, and I was like, what am I here for? Why do I need to be head of content if this can be just done in tickets?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, don't get pissed off. I'm like, I'm not being pissed off because I don't want to be content manager because it's useless.
Yeah.
And then we agreed to drop it, and yeah, then you came in. So
so
how did you actually do it?
Okay, I might as well answer that question. So it started with there being some sparks in general chat about power rankings for the split. And it'd been something that I'd thought about, but I mean, historically, I mean, if people go back on my Xtrigger YouTube channel and watch the Electric Podcast episode 1, I did by myself. What I had done is I'd done power rankings by myself, posted it in like the CL Bronze Silver General chat, and everyone had something to say about it. People were like, you should do a video explaining your ideas. You know, I used to watch the True Geordie, who's, I don't know if people either you know him or you don't, but he does a podcast.
Okay.
And so I was like, right, okay, I'll do a podcast. That's what I did. And the backlash I got from that video was insane. But I did a second one with Quee, where me and Quee argued about who should be the best top player between me and Quee for about 30 minutes.
Was that where you both were smurfing, basically?
Yeah. Which, you know... But
Goff and Hunter's addicts, right? Or stress.
Well, I was Xtrigger talking about Xtrigger, but Quee was Quee talking about Goff.
Okay. Did you know that he was Goff?
Yeah, of course I did, yeah. I knew everyone in Chicks with Sticks back then. Harbour and Smith, put that on my list of things that I've done wrong. But then after that second one, then everybody else started doing power rankings and just posting images in. and CL Bronze Silver fucking exploded. And it went from me actively trying to like make the content better in Bronze and Silver, and like part of me wanted to be this like Dash character, like from NALCS, but in EU Bronze Silver, because I was doing like casting at the same time. Like back then, I really wanted to be a caster. Didn't happen, but this was kind of where I wanted to be. So not only was it a little bit of envy with everyone else putting their ideas down too, but it was also seeing that my response had like just a complete negative reaction. So if you actually go on that Xtrigger YouTube channel and look at episode 3, it's just called Respect. It's about 4 minutes long, and it's the cringiest thing you've ever seen in your life. I'm leaving it up because why the fuck not? Let's laugh at me. But yeah, so the point is, power rankings had always had this negative connotation. I mean, I think Ice can attest to this and say, I've probably name checked him about 17 times in this podcast, but whatever. He's one of the older ones, so he knows this stuff.
True, yeah.
And he's always like, power rankings are bad. You shouldn't do power rankings. They're always like biased or just personal opinion, and the response is never good. But I was like, I think Bauer had mentioned it, and I was thinking about it, and then enough people mentioned, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. So I'm going to get me, Wavy, and Ice to all do it. Brilliant. Like, this is going to be great. I'd do it, and then people were asking once I'd released the fact that I was going to do it, are you going to do a Div 1, Div 2 1? Are you going to do a Div 1, Div 2 1? I said, no, I'm not. And then I do it, and midway through me doing the Div 3, Div 4 one, Charmander's put out a notice saying that him, Silverback, I think Ruben, and God, I feel sorry for the fourth person, but I don't know who it was, are gonna do a Div 1, Div 2 one. I was like, great, like I like this. I like the fact that someone's taken the initiative. And then John Joe asked, can you help me sort out the stream schedule? Just out of the blue. I was like, yeah, okay. Like, that's something I can do. I did it for Rivals. I can do it for VL. So I did, and we're talking, and I'm drunk, which I always am. And I'm talking to John, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to do it? And I'm like, who's even the content manager? Like, why is there no content? What's going on? Like, this is what we need. And I'm drunk and I'm rambling, and I said some of this in the Josie podcast, to be fair. I'm like, there's 3 things needed for content. There's hierarchy, which is someone being above everybody else, like this leadership role. The best example I can give is like Steven Gerrard, captain Liverpool, lead by example. You don't have to necessarily shout at them all, which was the next approach of like, this is the rules. You've got to stick by my deadline. Like you said, here's a deadline, answer. That's never
rules are rules.
Yeah, that's never going to work. Second thing is a narrative, making sure that there's something to talk about. Otherwise, what's the content for? And the third thing is this lack of censorship, making sure that people can do what they want. This freedom within a hierarchy is really what it's all about. And I said this to Joyce, and ultimately he was like, well, "You can." I think he said, "Well, is Rocc actually going to do it? Can I come and speak with Rocc? Can we make something happen? Can I tell him what to do?" And Joyce was like, well, "He's probably just going to fucking do nothing anyway." I was like, "Right, okay, fuck it, I'll just do it." So at the time, Valkyrie had messaged me and Byron to be on Name It or Flame It, but that episode had just never happened. Like, we'd been waiting for like a month, and it was just never happening because Byron had suggested dates, I suggested dates, but everyone was being a little bit lackadaisical with it, and Valk was given the least shit of everybody. And I'm like, right, okay. And then Josie and John Joe would also say, Asko had messaged them about this or that, but nothing had ever really transpired out of it. So my approach is like, right, okay, I'm going to make sure me and Valk make this Name It or Flame It thing happen. I'm going to ask, is there anything that he needs to help him out? I'm going to message Asko and say, what do you need to make this work? And I made a document of every single bit of content idea and say, what do we need to make this happen? So for this or that, we needed the graphic set up, like the background graphic. We needed 2 people to do it, like to host it. We needed questions being made, and then we needed someone to record it. Okay, I'll record it. That's fine. That's easy. Who can present it? Who are the best 2 personalities in VL, in my opinion? Cradden and Ruben, right?
That's where that partnership came from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just who did I think were the best 2? So let's speak to then let's speak to Marco. Marco, can you make graphic? Marco, everyone in VL should fucking message Marco and thank him for all the work he's done.
Yeah.
Like, fuck
incredible.
Me. The amount of shit this guy does for literally 0 recognition is absolutely unbelievable. And people have said some stuff, but honestly, everybody in VL should PM him because it's mental, right? So he makes a graphic for it. So now what all Asko needs to do is get this template that Marco's made and make questions, and then a message last saying, like, can you help Asko with the memes? Because this guy puts memes all the time in memes chat, right? So I've created a combination of some of the best people for every role. Marco of graphics, Last of memes, Cradden and Ruben as personalities to make this work. I've done all the work for Asco there, and all Asco has to do is put it together each week and help come up with questions. And even
Yeah.
then, like last week, Asco's PC died, so we brought in left questions, and me and Last made them all, and he just had to put it together. So I'm very hands-on with it all. With this or that, it just started with me setting dates that Valk had to do it. So I'd say, right, who's going to be the guest? And we didn't know. So it's like, okay, well, we'll do these two because that's who the guy suggested. Okay, when are you gonna record it? When are you gonna get it all done? And he's like, I don't know. We're thinking. So I just messaged the two guests and Valk. Are you free on this date? Can you be free? I kind of was forceful with the time, and it's like, yeah, okay. And then they recorded it. And then as soon as it ended, I was like, right, okay, do we know who we're getting in as the next guest? And was just very hands-on. And then Cliff, off his own back, I mean, Cliff podcast, you can go back and watch it. It's like he just popped up and saying, I want to do top 5 plays. And I was a bit, I'll help you, but it's not going to work. And then, fair play to him, it has. And obviously it's dropped off in the past 2 weeks, whether that's him actually having problems or him just being lazy, I'm not sure. Hopefully it does come back, though. And then the podcast, sure. I've just got to do myself. And everything else kind of falls into play. I've got so many other ideas, but my motivation drops. But that's how I did it. I just made everyone's lives dead easy, set everything up for them, so that's all they had to do. And it just became something that they were then...
Apart from the bench, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. Why aren't you motivated? Because I've come to you and I've said, you could get this guest, you could get this guest.
Yeah, I know, you said that. So the thing I played was with Judy. And it was like he agreed to it. he agreed to it, and I was looking forward to it, but all of this kind of like I've got F1 going. Now I'm playing on a team. So I also have work. I could fit it in. It's not a schedule problem, but it's just I cannot be asked, and I want time for myself.
Yeah.
I will still do it, and I'm sure there will still be like 1, 2, 3 episodes in the split still. But the last 2 weeks, I just with all this admin shit going on and joining NSK and F1, and I couldn't be asked. It's not me having any mental problems. It's not me having schedule problems. It's just me being lazy and being like, fuck this. I want to spend my time sometime else, and I think that's fine. That's fine for people to do.
Yeah.
Because if I don't enjoy making the bench, it's going to be a shit episode.
Yeah.
But if I sit there with Jury and ask him, so yeah, what do you think are like the top 2 junglers in Div 1? Like, I need to be there with like Spice.
Yeah,
so I have
questions. The bench is great because the bench covers the drama that's currently going on. Towie and Ice is an example. But obviously there's been a lot of drama that the bench hasn't covered, which is what I wanted it to be. And I'd hoped that you would get motivated by the drama and say, shit, Dewey's just come back and putting something in. I was one that didn't let him to play. There's hype there. That would motivate me to do something.
Did you just say I always didn't want to let him play?
No, sorry. What I was saying was Dewey's come back. He wants to play. I was the one that meant that he couldn't play. Talking from your perspective. There's hype there. Like, I'd hope that would be the motivation. But obviously, if it's not there, it's not there. But fingers crossed that.
The thing is, will it be motivation? Because
I'd want it
who knows? Maybe Dewey. I don't expect the guy to do it. I don't think there's going to be bad blood between us. Maybe there is, but I don't speak to him. Right? I asked him, "Do you want to be on the bench?" He said, "Yep." Does this work for you? Yep. That's all we talk, right?
Yeah.
So what if he just comes with like the biggest Donza manifesto in history?
Is that not great? Is that not what
I don't know.
Maybe. Wants to see?
Maybe it's what everyone wants to see. Maybe it's not what I want to be. Maybe I don't want to be part of that. But it's like it might be. Dewey's still going to be the next guest because I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going to say you're going to be on the bench, but then I'll just take someone else on. And yeah, but after Dewey, I do think it's going to be situational. Will I have CLT on again? I know you said there is drama, but then we had Ice, we had Valk at the start, and I feel like I want to get as many different people on the podcast or on like the bench as possible.
Yeah.
So I would also like to get unknown people on the bench, but also it's not like what the community wants, because the community doesn't care if person XYZ is putting and looking for team and is looking for a team. They don't want to get to know that person. They want to find out more about what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, like if you could
Because
get Byron on, would be more interesting than. I mean, Danny had the DV situation, but if you were to get, say, Poro Demon from Fireflies, he's obviously been around for a while, but like just as someone that's he's not like active in the community, no one would watch that.
No, don't think so.
It depends.
Byron's a good show, actually.
Depends what you want to do, but like yes, from someone that comes in as the head of content as admin to then take over and make it look easy to then not even do his own content. It's just, for me, it's like, bro.
Yeah, I know, but I've also always been like slacking with the bench. I started it in I think it started 2019. Now it's back.
Yeah.
I think it's way better now. The episodes I try to cut them shorter. I do think, you can correct me on this, but I think that the bench is the shorter version of Let It Rip, in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to fucking slag people off, but what I want the podcast to be is not an interview. It quite often turns into an interview because it makes the conversation flow. But the best podcasts are when it's conversation for as long as possible before a question gets introduced, or it's a back and forth of questioning rather than me to you. Which is why the alcohol helps. it's part of the recipe of what makes it work. In the same way that Hot Ones, like, to get better answers, they eat chilies. Whereas I think the bench is more of an interview about what's been going on. Which is where I would separate it. But when a podcast turns into an interview, the bench is just a shorter version. So I'm not offended by that. But the goal is, the best podcasts are going to be the ones like the one I had with Coxie on Rivals. I don't know if anyone in VL would have saw it, but it was like a 3.5 hour long podcast where we both got absolutely plastered talking about things which were nothing to do with League of Legends or Rivals, and it was great. But I'm not always going to get that with people, so.
And not everyone's going to watch it, but I don't think that's what it's about, right?
Just for me. I like talking to people about different things and going quite in depth about stuff. So.
And some people will always watch it, even maybe just skim through it, but then they will find that one thing that maybe I've said in this podcast that is a bit controversial, and they'll bring it up in general chat, and they're like, "Why is this on? Oh, it's on Let It Rip." It's like that part, and then they're gonna watch it, and they're like, "Maybe this is actually quite interesting." So I think at the end of the day, people are still gonna watch it, even though the watch time is probably like this.
Yeah.
First 10 minutes, and it goes like this, but it's to be expected, right?
I don't care about that.
It's the same with the bench as well. As long as it exceeds 10 minutes, it's going to go downhill. It can be 15 minutes. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to watch it till the end.
Yeah. I suppose that is the ultimate difference. Is the bench they expect to be short, the podcast they know to be long.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is long. So Rocc, before we end the podcast, and I have a shower because fuck me, am I boiling?
Yeah.
Is there any last words that you want to say on the Let It Rip podcast, episode 12, to the VL community, to NSK, to Byron, to CLT, to 7DS, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I think to the VL community, I think as much shit as most people have done in their past, whether it's me, whether it's Drigger, whether it's, I don't know, even Kui or whatever, at the end of the day, we should look at the thing we have now, at the community, at the league. I've had people come in, like Freezy, for example. A big shout out to him. Nice guy, mid laner for PDX, who was also at the pub quiz, if you remember, but you probably don't. That's fine.
No, I don't know what you're on about.
But he, for example, he joined the pub quiz thing, and he was like, "This community is awesome. I love the community." And he's been here for 1 or 2 weeks actively.
Yeah.
And I think we should just look at that and be proud. And even if people like Agrita, people like Impress, they've all done shit at some point, Even if Dewey has sandbagged, my God, people will do mistakes, and everyone deserves a second chance. And I think that is what I tried to bring upon the admin team when we did the appeal system. I tried to say, why do we let people appeal, but then we just decline every appeal instead of finding the middle ground where we say, Right now, it's looking a bit tough, but if you want to stay around in the community and help, we can definitely reinvestigate your case and maybe even get you unbanned. And I think everyone should have that kind of view where, yes, you can do mistakes. Of course, everyone can. Everyone does daily, but we can all learn from it, and everyone is still here to have fun, right? So I think we should all be a bit more lenient when it comes to people that have fucked up in the past. In
Please.
General.
Can everyone stop bullying me? Thank you. Brilliant, Rocc. Cheers for those very nice and intimate words to end it. Guys, this has been the Lyric Podcast. I have been X-Trigger. He has been X-Rocc, Rockery, Rewind, and every other rendition in the past. So, yeah.
Bye.